Take a look at the food. You can see the fish, the meat, and the egg. Now, this food, when you eat them, they give to your body a class of food called protein. Proteins are one of the most essential biomolecules in biochemistry, and it's actually important to the structure and function of living organisms. Now, note that they are large, complex macromolecules composed of amino acids. This means that the building block of protein is actually amino acid, and they are involved in nearly every cellular process, including growth and repair, enzymatic function, immune function, hormonal function, structural support, and others. Now, as I said earlier, proteins are polymers. They are made up of amino acid. Now, take a look at this diagram. The amino acids are linked together by a peptide bond. As you can see from the diagram, this is one amino acid. This is another amino acid. Now, take a look at this. This amino acid loses OH while the other loses H. Together, they lose water to form this peptide bond that you can see. So you can see that the peptide bond, one carbon atom is attached to this oxygen and the other is attached to what? The hydrogen. Protein contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur. It should be noted that the sequence and arrangement of amino acids determine the protein structure and function. Proteins are made from 20 standard amino acids. Now, each amino acid is made up of amino group, the carboxyl group, the hydrogen atom, and the arrow group, which is actually a variable side chain. Now, note that the arrow group determines the property of each amino acid. Now, as you can see from the diagram, you can see the amino group, you can see the arrow side chain, you can see the carboxyl group, and on top you can see the hydrogen atom. Let's talk about the level of protein structure. Protein structure is organized into four hierarchical levels, namely the primary structure, the secondary structure, tertiary, and quaternary structure. The primary structure is the amino acid sequence in a polypeptide chain, which is actually determined by the genetic code. In the example below, you can see the sequence, the glycine, alanine, valine, and lysine. Now, this sequence represents the primary structure. The local folding of the polypeptide chain caused by hydrogen bonding is actually called the secondary structure. And this chain fold into regular patterns such as the alpha helix and the beta plated sheet. You can see the diagram of the alpha helix and the beta plated sheet being displayed. Now, take a look at the hydrogen bonding that is present in both structure. The complete 3D shape of a single protein molecule is regarded as what the tertiary structure. The protein fold further due to the interaction of the amino acid chain. Now, there are several bonds that are actually present in the tertiary structure. Now, take a look at the diagram. You can see the hydrogen bond, the ionic bond, hydrophobic interaction, even disulfide bond. The quaternary structure occurs when two or more protein chain combine to form one functional unit. Now take a look at this diagram. We have four chain and each chain is actually called a subunit. And take a look at the chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now all these chains come together to form a one functional protein structure. That is what quaternary structure is all about. Example of this is found in hemoglobin, which actually comprises of four subunits. Let's talk about the properties of protein. Number one is that they have high molecular weight. Two, they have specific three-dimensional structure. They are amphoteric, which means they can act as an acid or a base. Now, the carboxylic end act as an acid, while the amino end act as a base. They are sensitive towards temperature and pH, and they can be denatured. That means they can lose their structure and function. Take a look at the structure of amino acid. You notice that the carboxyl end is actually the end that acts as the acid, while the amino group act as the base. So because they can act as acid and base, they are termed amphoteric. Let's talk about classification of protein. Now, protein can be classified based on their composition, based on their shape, and based on their function. Based on composition, they can be classified into simple protein, which actually yield only amino acid if you break it down. Alright, the example include the albumin and globulin. We also have the conjugated protein, which contain a protein part and a non-protein part called the prosthetic group. Example include the glycoprotein, which contain protein with carbohydrate. We have the lipoprotein, protein with lipid. We have the metalloprotein, protein with metal ion, and others. The last kind of classification based on composition is derived protein, which are formed when simple or conjugated protein are partially broken down by heat, enzyme, or even chemicals. We have primary derived proteins such as the denatured protein, which are actually slight modification to the protein structure. We also have the conjugated egg protein. It's an example of a primary um, derived protein. While we have the secondary derived proteins, just such as the peptide and protease. These are gotten by further breakdown of protein structure. Protein can also be classified based on shape into fibrous protein and globular protein. Fibrous protein are long thread-like structure. They are insoluble in water and play mainly structural role. You can see that in the diagram. Example is actually collagen and keratin. While the globular protein, as you can see from the diagram, is actually ferrica. Globular protein are soluble in water, functional protein, and they are easily transported in fluid. Example include the hemoglobin and enzymes. The last kind of classification is based on function, and we can have the enzymatic protein, we can have the structural protein, we can have the transport protein, which actually carry material or substances. We can also have the hormonal protein, which regulates substances, the defense protein, which perform immune function, and we can also have the contractile protein that is involved in movement. Let's talk about the denaturation of protein. Now, what do you understand by the term denaturation of protein? It's the loss of the protein structure without breaking the peptide bond. Now, the loss in structure can be caused by heat, pH change, chemicals, such as heavy metals. Now, what is the effect of denaturation? It includes loss of biological activities, coagulation, and others. Let's talk about the importance of protein in living organisms. One, is essential for growth and repair. They form enzymes and hormones. They are critical for immune system and they also provide energy. Now, this is the end of the lesson. Thanks for watching.